How do we factor trinomials using the Australian method, especially when the leading coefficient is greater than 1? That is what we are going to learn in this particular video with 9 examples. I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. In this video, we'll extend the Australian method to factorize some of the trinomials which we have. We have also taken up a binomial in this case. Well, in Australian method, as you know, we'll be using product and sum to find two numbers m and n. And once we have those numbers, then I'll show you the technique with which we can easily factorize. Well, in case you want to learn from me, feel free to send an email on globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. Let me also thank all the viewers and subscribers for posting excellent comments and suggestions. This is your channel where for the past 15 years we have been posting videos to answer your questions. Now, we have more than 17,000 absolutely free videos. These are being watched over 80 countries. We are looking forward for support from some of you who can donate. Any amount is good. Every dollar counts. You can donate using the email address globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. For regular support, at the same email, we can discuss. Now, let's begin with factorizing these trinomials one by one. So, I'll begin with question 4, which is 6x squared minus 23x plus 15. We need to factor this. So, the technique, which is also called Australian method, is first to find the product. So, let me rewrite the equation, which is 6x squared minus 23x plus 15. The product of two numbers m times n should be 6 times 15. So you could write that product, which is definitely 90, and the sum is the coefficient of the middle term minus 23. One of the challenge here is to get this combination of m and n. Clearly, if the product is positive and sum is negative, that means both the numbers are negative, correct? Now, which are these two numbers and how do we find these numbers? So, here's your first tip. I will write 6 times 15 before you and we'll actually write down their prime factors. 6 is 2 times 3 and 15 is 3 times 5. So, now we have a good view of which numbers to work with. How do we get 23 out of these numbers? Well, 9 times 2 is 18 and 18 and 5 gives you 23. So that means I could take these numbers as minus 18 and minus 5. Makes sense, right? So that becomes m and n, and this will help us to factorize. Now let's see, once we know these two numbers, how do we use this Australian method to factor? So 6x squared, we'll write 6x, first factor minus 18, times 6x, the other factor minus 5. Now clearly 6 times 6 is 36, not 6. So we need to divide this by the leading coefficient 6 itself. Now if you divide and simplify, you can see that the first term can be divided by 6, right? So let me show you clearly how we are doing it. So in the first term, which is 6x minus 18, I can divide both by 6, right? The second term will keep it as such, right? So this is an additional step which I am just showing you to make things more clear. 6x divided by 6 is only x and minus 18 divided by 6 is minus 3. That becomes the first factor, the second being 6x minus 5. Makes sense? So that is how the Australian method is used. Perfect. Let's take up the next example, which is 4x squared minus 25. Now, if I have 4x squared minus 25, means the center term is 0x, right? Do you understand? So the sum is 0 and the product is 4 times 25, which is 100. Now, which two numbers can give me the sum of 0 and product of 100? Well, clearly one has to be negative, the other one positive, right? And so it'll be plus 10 and minus 10. Is that clear to you? So we can write this with plus 10 and minus 10, the values of m and n. So we can rewrite our expression as 4x plus 10 times 4x minus 10, right? And we're going to divide this by 4. So since, none of them gets, we'll write 2 times 2 instead of 4, right? Which is also 4. I purposely wrote 2 times 2. First factor dividing by 2 is 2x plus 5. And the second factor divided by 2 is 2x minus 5. And that is how we'll factorize this. Is that clear to you? Right? So I hope you have understood this strategy. In case you want to learn from me, feel free to send an email on globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. Let's take up the next question, which is 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. So, how do we do this? Well, we're looking for the product m times n as 4 times 9, right? Which is definitely 36. And we're looking for the sum m plus n as minus 12. So what are these two numbers? Well, both should be negative and both could be negative 6, right? It makes sense, correct? So let me rewrite on the diamond which I've made here. We are looking for a product of 36, sum of minus 12, and what we find is both the numbers are minus 6. So I can rewrite this as 4x, the first term without x squared, minus 6 times 4x minus 6. Again, dividing by 4 or 2 times 2 works, right? So we can get 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3, which is also equal to 2x minus 3 whole square. So you see, here's another very special product, right? A minus b whole square, right? Which gives you a square minus 2ab plus b square. Perfect? Is that clear to you? Clear. So let me remind here. So we have this a minus b whole square, which is equal to a square minus 2ab plus b square, right? In the previous case, we had a square minus b square, which could be factored also as directly a plus b times a minus b. So these are important identities to remember, right? Let's take up the next question, question number 7 here. 4x cubed plus 6x squared plus 2x. Now, you can see that there is something common here, right? So, first step always is to take out the common factor. So, let me redo this question by taking out the common factor, which in this case is 2x. So, 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 is what you get here, right? Now, we'll do product and sum. Product means 2 times 1, which is 2, and the sum being 3. So the numbers are plus 2 and plus 1. And therefore, we could write this as 2x times 2x plus 2, right? 2x plus 1 and divide by the number 2, right? So the first factor can be simplified and you get 2x times x plus 1 times 2x plus 1 as your answer. Is that clear to you, right? So simple. So I know that you have understood this technique. Now, I would like you to pause the video and answer this particular question. You need to factorize 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. There is no group factoring here, but you know that 9 times 4 is 36. So that is going to be the product and the sum being 12, right? And you can also see it is a perfect square. So once you do that, we have the two units plus 6 and plus 6, and following our steps, the answer clearly will be 3x plus 2 whole square, right? Okay, I like you to fill up these steps. Let's move on to question number 9, which is 8x squared plus 2x minus 15. Now, in this case, what is the product? Well, clearly the product is minus 15 times 8. I'm not multiplying them because that is not required. We're looking for two numbers whose sum should be 8. How do we figure this out? Well, let's do prime factorization of 15 and 8. 8, is 2 times 2 times 2. 15 is 5 times 3, right? Now, what two numbers can be such that we get 2 as their sum, and clearly bigger number is positive, smaller number is negative. So they are close by. So it could be what? Well, if I club 3 to 2, 3 times 4 is 12, then I'm left with 5 and 2. So the two numbers are plus 12 and minus 10. It works, right? So now 8x squared plus 2x minus 15 can be written as 8x first term plus 12, right? And then we have 8x minus 10. We have to divide by 8, right? So you can divide this by 4 and the other number by 2. Do you see that? So we got 8 in the denominator. That is the real way of doing it, much faster, right? So when you divide by 4, you get 2x plus 3 as your first term, and the second term will be 4x minus 5. That is the simplest way of factoring this trinomial, and this is the advantage of the Australian method. So I hope with this it's absolutely clear how do we factor using the Australian method. Perfect. Well, you can always support our channel as by sending an email, right? And in case you want to learn from me, feel free to send an email on globalmathinstitute@gmail.com. Let's continue with question number 10, 11, and 12. So with three more questions to go, 16x squared plus 76x plus 90, right? So again, very big numbers. I can actually take a common factor here, right? We have 16x squared plus 76x plus 90, correct? Now, as you can see, we can take a common factor here, which is 2. So if I factor 2 out, I get 8x squared plus half of 76 is 38x plus 45. Now again, the product is a big number, which is 8 times 45, sum being 38. How do I get these numbers? Our tip is use prime factorization, right? So 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. 45 is 5 times 9, which is 3 times 3 times 5. Makes sense? So I wrote these as their prime factors. Now we are looking for a combination which could give us the sum as 38. Now both these numbers are positive, as you can see, right? So what can work? Well, if I have 18 and 20, it works, right? So 18 and 20 works. So I'm writing 20 first and then 18. So what we get here is 8x plus 20 times 8x plus 18 to get the answer, right? Dividing by 8, I could write 4 times 2, right? So do you see how easily we are able to do it now? That is what makes difference. So we get 2 times. So if I do this, we get 4x. 4 divided by this is 2x plus 5. And here we get 4x plus 9. So that becomes the solution for factoring out 16x squared plus 76x plus 90. Clear? Now, 6x squared minus 90x plus 324 is the next question. You can pause the video, answer this question. What is the common factor here? We do have a group factoring possible, right? So I could factor out 6, right? And then I get x squared, and this is 15x. And that should be 6 times 5, 30, 24, 6 times 4, right? So we're looking for a product of 54 and sum of minus 15. One number, the bigger one, is negative and the smaller one is positive. We want 15 as the sum, right? Both are negative, sorry, because when you multiply, you get positive. Both negative numbers, right? 15. So 6 times 9 works, right? So 9, 6, I'm writing here. So I could now factor this as x minus 9 times x minus 6. We have to divide by just 1 because x squared, right? So that becomes our final answer. Do you see how easy it becomes, right? The last question before you is 8x squared minus 2xy minus 21y squared. Can you tell me what is the product in this case? So product in this case is 8 times minus 21y squared. Do not forget that, right? So that is the product. So you can say minus 168y squared, right? And the sum is minus 2y. Is that clear to you? The coefficient of x minus 2y. So, what could be these two numbers? Well, the negative number definitely is bigger, positive number is smaller. And how do we get these numbers? That is what we will do by prime factorization, right? So, looking at 8 negative 21, right? 21 is 3 times 7, and 8, as you know, is 2 times 2 times 2. So, two close by numbers whose difference is just 2 could be what? 7 times 2 is 14 and 3 times 4 is 12. So that can work for us, right? Bigger number being negative. So negative 14 and plus 12. So that is the answer, right? So we can write 8x squared minus 2xy minus 21y squared. And remember, you have to write y with each because then only the product will have y squared in it, right? So this could be written as 8x minus 14y, right, times 8x plus 12y. We have to divide by 8. That means we can split it into 4 and 2, right? So here this is good for 4, this is good for 2, giving us the answer, which is 8 half is 4, right? So 4x minus 7y times dividing by 4 gives us 2x plus 3y. So that is how we are going to factor this. So I hope with this you have mastered the skills of using the Australian method to factorize, especially when the leading coefficient is more than 1. With that, we come to an end, and now we have solved, rather factorized, all these questions in two different videos. I hope that helps. And in case you want to help us by your donations, please do send your donations to our email and suggest how you can be a regular supporter to reach millions. Thanks for your valuable time and all the best.